In this video, I'll be covering my portfolio changes for the week. Now, before I get into the portfolio changes, I wanted to note a couple other changes I'm making. The first is to the account names. The long term trading account doesn't exactly reflect my intent with those positions. They really are longer term holds closer to position trading. So I updated to that name and I changed the short term trading account to shorter term trading. So that just reflects the actual intent and goals of the positions in those accounts. And then also, I'll do a better job of making sure positions are in the correct accounts. I have position names based on my actual accounts behind the scenes, and that just helps for tracking purposes. But as an example, really the agriculture positions should be shown as position trades, not shorter term trades. Now, the next change is a factor in my overarching strategy. Part of what I suspect has value in what I share is not just positions I'm buying or selling, but also my goal and the weightings in my portfolio. So going forward, I'm going to try and add a bit more context on that front. I've also come to realize I'm still weighting positions closer to my earlier capital base the last few years before 2025. I would take positions of around 1 to 3,000 and average in. If it's a risky position, I might even do less than 1,000. Well, with my capital over doubled since then, I really need to be more aggressive, right? Part of growing one's portfolio is getting used to larger position sizing. And further on that front is that I've been trying to move toward positioning in fewer, higher quality, higher market cap individual stocks. If I choose to go the individual stock route in any given theme versus using, say, an ETF or a futures contract or some other vehicle. And this is most evident with my oil and gas additions recently. I have 6 stocks in total, and they're all larger cap companies. Even 6 is kind of a lot, but I did want to spread things out there. And really, if I had full position sizes, the ones I want bigger sizing in is just 3, which is Exxon, Chevron, and Canadian Natural. So yes, I wanted to dollar cost average in those over time. And back then I didn't necessarily realize how big of a weighting I wanted, but at this point I would have liked to target closer to that 15 to 20% that I've mentioned before. And 15% of my portfolio would be 94,000, and right now I only have a combined 27,000 position. And those stocks had been basing for 2 to 3 years and they were getting more and more attractive valuations. So I should have just bought larger initial positions, but that's just a learning for me for next time. I do still think they're cheap, but I've learned to not chase on rallies and to just wait for pullbacks. So I'm going to follow the rules here. And worst case, if they continue running, I at least have a position versus not. So moving on to the position changes for the week. Highlighted in yellow here are my buys and sells. I have 4. First off, I bought back the position I sold in RIO.TO mining last week and then also bought a bit more. With the recent addition of the Condestable mine and their growing production over the next couple years, they could have cash flows of over 350 million a year. So their valuation of 1.28 billion looks quite attractive, especially with gold potentially moving towards that 7,000 to 8,000 level. And then they also have copper exposure at Condestable. And over the next several years, copper looks very attractive because of the supply deficits that we'll have based off the growing markets and infrastructure and AI and all of that stuff. This stock has gone vertical the last couple years, but part of the reason for that was the re-rating from both the receipt of their project permitting. They had that environmental permit blocked a few years ago. And then obviously the build and completion of the mine and the first gold pour. Next, I added to wheat. I'll keep accumulating agriculture as there's pullbacks and basing. I've yet to add corn, and I'm not sure if or when I may. My current agriculture weighting is about 3.5%. I'm okay getting it up to 10% or so, but I'm also okay letting it be smaller if I don't get opportunities to add. I don't expect wild returns, maybe 50%, 60%. Nothing like the oil and gas sector where I see multiples for returns. So I see this more as a volatility reducer to the portfolio. And I do have that bit of leverage in there as well with that sugar futures option. Next, I decided to go ahead and sell off SND. It could be moving out of this base to make a run. And with the oil and gas market potentially bottoming and perhaps more capex spending over the next few years, this could do well. I just don't know enough about those aspects. And the valuation to their cash flows seems a little blown out unless I'm missing something. Based on free cash flow the last couple years, they're trading at 60 times that cash flow, which is pretty high. So ultimately, this was just a trade for me, and I just bought several months ago. So I'll take the solid gain in a short period of time and roll it into something else. And I also just wanted to note that the level that I highlighted that I sold the first half of the position at in December, it was the support level once price broke through it. I do think there's some value in technical analysis, and I do factor it into the decisions I make. And another good example of utilizing technicals in some respects is a good piece of wisdom on larger cap stocks that you might be investing in for a much longer time horizon is to buy when they're close to the 200-week moving average. And Microsoft is drifting closer there. But I did pick up a few more shares of Microsoft on this gap fill. They have a fantastic earnings outlook over the next 5 years. And I just see it as stable growth and a volatility reducer in the portfolio. As I mentioned before, this is likely just a lifetime hold, as I intend every position in the investing account to be. That's all for this video. If you have any questions or wanted to see something I didn't cover, let me know in the comments below. As always, I post all my transactions in real time on X. My handle is LionEyeYouTube, link in the description. And subscribe to the channel for ongoing portfolio updates as these markets unfold. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.